Two guys in their early 50s with one dream: to achieve middle-aged sporting glory. This is the Missing Links Golf Show. Andy Walker, the good news is that you are not alone behind the microphones this week. It's wonderful to be back. How are you, buddy?
Good, mate. Very good. Very good. Better than you have been over the last couple of weeks.
Good grief.
It's good. It's good to have you back. I mean, you know, flying solo was something a bit different. But having a bit of banter, having a bit of conversation, there's nothing like doing that each week.
Surprisingly difficult to record a conversation with yourself.
Yeah, look, I mean, I managed to get almost half an hour. I mean, you know, 30 minutes.
That was remarkable.
Talking to myself was quite interesting. And look, it's not hard. I understand why some of these solo podcasters, they sort of go between about sort of 15 to 20 minutes, and that's about all they manage to get out, and I understand that.
Absolutely difficult to maintain the enthusiasm talking into a mirror for that amount of time, but it was well done. I did listen. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I know the Pilgrims, there were a few messages that were coming our way asking what was going on. It's nice to know that people actually pay attention when we don't release an episode. So that was good. And thank you to everyone that messaged just asking what was happening. So we do appreciate it. And anyway, back to normal scheduled broadcasts now, hopefully. Hopefully my voice actually lasts the duration of this episode as well. We'll see how we go. There's no promises on that front. So here we are. There's a bit to discuss. I mean, obviously, your solo episode, you talked a bit about the US Open, which has been played and won by JJ Spaun. I wouldn't mind the opportunity to share a couple of those thoughts on the tournament myself, because one of the byproducts about being out for the count and stuck on the couch and in the bed being sick for a fortnight is that you do get the opportunity to watch a bit of golf. So,
well, I know that we had the conversation about when we were talking about the US Open review and what we were going to say, and you did say you had some thoughts in relation to the US Open because you had watched every single shot.
I watched every minute of the broadcast, I think.
Excellent.
Having said that, some of it was in a bit of a fever-induced delirium, so I may have misconstrued a little bit of what was going on, but no, look, it was a lot of fun and it was good to watch, and it was an amazing tournament. You know, certainly that final round, good Lord, there was a whole lot of action that was going on pretty quick smart around different parts of the course. But we will get to that, because Andy Walker, one of the first things that we need to do, we actually we need to share a little bit of a story. I'm just going to find it here on Voice of the Pilgrims, which is exciting because the thing I love the most, and you'll probably be the same on this, is when we hear a personal story from one of the Pilgrims because our stories resonated and it's actually made them think about things and maybe make a few decisions in their own life.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right. It is. I mean, we're just normal blokes that decided to sit down and have a chat each week and record it.
Are we that normal?
The same.
Really?
Well, sort of.
Yeah.
But yeah, what we go through and the challenges that we have, I'm sure that there are many, many people out there that go through the same thing. And if we can share our journey so that, you know, there are the Pilgrims out there that, feel as though they're not alone on the path that they're on, then I think we're all the better for it.
100%. So this little story was, for those of you that are on the Facebook group, on the Missing Links Golf Show podcast Facebook group, you might have seen this, because this was a post that got popped on there about a week ago by one of the Pilgrims from WA, I think he is, Lucas Anderson. He's part of the yearly championship. Nice. And he says, I've decided to follow you both and get into an actual competition. He he says he's technically
nothing like it.
Yeah, he's technically over the handicap limit right now, but he's hoping to squeeze into the field. And that's for the John Crosby Vines Amateur Tournament over in WA. It's just awesome. There were a few comments that got made on the bottom of that post, but essentially the message is this: is good on you, Lucas. Have a crack. We want to hear how you 100%. Go. We sincerely hope that you get in the field. And look, realistically, we've talked about this on a number of occasions. We talked about this when we debriefed the Mid-Am. There is no substitute for tournament golf. Like, there is just nothing else quite like it.
Yep.
Club golf, club competition golf is great, and it's definitely better than, from my point of view, it's better than just having a social hit. Nothing wrong with that, though. I do enjoy a social hit from time to time, but I like to get the competitive juices flowing. And definitely doing that in an actual tournament where you're out there competing against people that you don't know, you've never met before. They come from all different places, and it's legitimate tournament conditions. Like, that's just next level. So good on you, Lucas. And you know what? It's not easy, because putting yourself out there in that sort of an environment, can be tough.
Yeah, I agree, and I agree with what you say. I mean, there's, I see golf sort of on levels in the, you get the guys who, just go and whack balls at the driving range and have a bit of a muck around. You get sort of others that like to go and play in a social group and, have a few drinks, a few beers and stuff, and have a laugh. And as you said, that's all good.
That's fine.
There are those that like to play in club competitions just with a regular group of people. That's great. There are others that sort of start playing in club championships and maybe pennants or something along that lines, representing your club, which is just that next level up. Then I think it's the going away and playing in other club competitions, whether it be senior amateur tournaments or in New South Wales, they're Varden events, that other clubs that are the open competitions in that championship format. Then you've got your state and your national competitions, and I know that that's sort of where we're starting to play, and that's when it gets a lot tougher, and the pressure really ramps up, and everyone's there to. They're not there to socialise. They're there to compete, and I know that you've really enjoyed that arena, and it's an arena that I really love as well. So, wherever you fit on that scale, I think there's nothing like actually putting yourself out there and playing in some competition golf. I think that's really where you want to test yourself.
100%. And I like the fact you talk about, we're not by no means getting snobby about this and saying that you've got to play competitive golf, you've got to play tournaments and all of that. That's absolutely not the case. If you want to do it, great, 100% support it. But from my point of view, all golf is golf, and as you say, it could be whacking balls at the driving range, it could be playing at the pitch and putting a pair of flip-flops, thongs, jandals, whatever you want to call them. It could be playing competitively, whatever the case may be, whatever floats your boat, so long as you're playing the game, get out there, get amongst it and enjoy it. But I would absolutely support anyone that's got any kind of ambition about getting out there and playing some tournament golf, because I just think it's next level, and testing yourself in that environment is just really, really good for the game, for your own game.
Yeah, and I mean that's I guess the basis of where we're coming from is that we're just trying to be the best versions of ourselves, and in order to do that, we've decided to go out and play competition golf, but that doesn't necessarily mean that everyone is in the position where they either can or want to do that. But this, what we talk about, it resonates right through your life. It's not just on the golf course that you can apply a lot of the things that we talk about.
Both of us potentially may have been referred to as somewhat competitive at various parts of our lives. Just throwing it out.
Potentially.
I'm more competitive than you. No, I'm more competitive than you. So anyway, either or, whatever floats your boat, get out there and whack a ball around. But Lucas, good on you, mate. Good on you. Not only for doing it, but also for telling us that you're doing it, because that's a whole
and
other
good luck
thing.
If you get in there, Lucas, good luck. Definitely let us know how you go.
For sure. which is a bit of a segue talking about competitions, Andy Walker, to the most prestigious podcast-based global
competition.
Yearly championship competition in the history of golf podcasting. The Missing Links Golf Show Yearly Championship. I don't think it's possible to overstate its importance. We need to wrap up the month that was May with some results.
Yeah. And look, we're sort of getting to May a little bit later than what we otherwise would have. But given the month that it's been, I think that the Pilgrims will understand.
I'm happy to take the blame. It's fine. But there were a few scorecards that came in, a few notable exceptions. Andy Walker, I didn't see a scorecard come in for you for the month of May.
No. And the injury was still a little bit prevalent in May, but I'm happy to say that it's looking a little bit brighter in June, and I am down for the comp this week at my local club, which will be and if I do get around, which I'm pretty confident that I will, it'll be my first full competition round since the New South Wales Senior Amateur.
It will.
So, talking, what's that, 4.5 months. It's not really what I envisaged, but it is what it is.
Yep. Well, hopefully you get around. I've got my fingers crossed for you. But let's talk about those who did in the month of May. So there was some golf played. Thing that is amazing on this one, in the top 6, there were 0 countbacks this month. That's a first.
Right. Okay.
That is a first. So we will start in 6th place. And actually, before I do this, I will say a couple of things. Firstly, people, get your scorecards in so that we can include them. Because if you don't submit them, we don't know what you shot and you don't score points. It's pretty simple.
Yeah. Well, it's difficult to know that the Pilgrims have played when they don't submit their scorecards.
Correct.
We're pretty talented, but
not mind
quite
readers.
that talented.
Not mind readers. So submit your scorecards and don't for a moment think, I didn't score well enough, I'm not going to bother submitting a card, because as you will see with the numbers I'm about to read out, you might be surprised about what gets you into the top 6.
Wow.
Okay?
All right.
Submit your scorecards. The other thing that I would say is it is not too late to enter. It doesn't matter if you haven't put a card in yet. It's not too late to put your first card in, because it's a bit of fun. So it doesn't matter. And there's still
and
plenty of time.
There are still a number of competitors that still haven't scored any points yet.
There are a number of competitors that are yet to trouble the scorers. That is correct. And a number of competitors that are down on the list that actually still haven't submitted a card as well. So there's that. So you're not alone. So for anyone that's out there thinking, it's now, they're going through May, so June's halfway done. There's not much point. There is a point. Get involved. Just simply join the Missing Links Golf Show Facebook, or the Missing Links Golf Show podcast Facebook group, and that's how you can submit your cards. Thoroughly recommend doing it. It is good fun. There's a lot of like-minded people involved, and it's a supportive community. So with that said, that's my community announcement. Let's get to the scores.
Let's get to the scores, yeah.
Andy
What are the
Walker
results?
coming in 6th place, or 6th place if you prefer, earning 1 point to his yearly championship total with a Stableford score of 29 points, hence my point of submit your cards.
So is this the first time where the points have been won
in the 20s?
In the 20s?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is. So anyway, on 29 points is Donnie from Bathurst.
Oh, well done, Donnie.
So snagging himself a nice little point there. So well done.
Make it a little bit more difficult given the weather that's out Donnie's way that I'm aware of. It's starting to get a little bit sort of chilly out that way. So holding on to the golf clubs, especially if you've got an early morning tee time.
You don't want an early morning tee time.
Yes.
I can tell you it's been cold the last fortnight in the central west of New South Wales, where Bathurst is located, and certainly Orange more so. Has been cold. It was -5 last Monday morning.
I did read somewhere on one of the news websites that there have been parts of Australia that were colder than Antarctica this week.
Yeah, I reckon I was in all of them.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I know people in Goulburn, and I was getting some information from them.
Goulburn's cold.
Goulburn's cold. It was -5 with a wind chill, -12.
Yeah, it's unpleasant.
And I mean, I don't know. I don't think I want to be playing golf in -12 wind chill.
No, you don't. I can tell you right now, you don't. And you literally can't feel your hands is the issue.
Yeah.
And if you catch one a bit fat, like
I reckon thin's worse. Like, you get the blade and
it's bad. It's bad. But the problem with catching it fat in those conditions is the ground's frozen.
Yeah,
so it's
right.
literally rock hard. So anyway, first world problems, I guess. So well done, Donny, 29 points. We're ripping through this anyway. Absolutely ripping through this. It's excellent.
It's quality.
In fifth place, earning 2 points to his yearly championship tally. It's an important 2 points here. Is with 31 Stableford points for the round. He probably was feeling like he'd underachieved on this one, given the scores he's been posting for the balance of the year prior. Is James from England. So, well done, James. 31 points, which brings us to fourth place. So in fourth place, earning 3 yearly championship points with 32 Stableford points. Benny from Dubbo.
Yeah, Benny, well done.
Yeah, great work, Benny.
Because, 32 points, if I remember correctly, in April, 32 points didn't get a point, if I remember. It was like, there was 1 month where it was 33.
30 in April, 33 was 6th. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yet.
Okay, so.
May, difficult conditions, obviously. Which means in third place, this is extraordinary. Third place for the month, earning 5 yearly championship points with a total of 33 Stableford points.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Andy Walker, that was me.
Really?
Yeah, that was a Bathurst also. That 33 points.
So you've rocketed up the leaderboard.
I really have.
Yearly championship.
I'm pretty happy about that too. I can't say I've earned it. That was two months in a row with 33 points. There you go. Amazing. Which brings us into second place. In second place, earning 7 yearly championship points with 38 Stableford points. There's a bit of a gap.
That's big gap there.
It's a bit of a gap. And that is the man that we were just talking about, which is Lucas from WA.
Nice. Well done, Lucas. Use the form to get out there and play in some competition.
He's had some decent rounds actually this year, so that's good. But winning the month with, again, another gap here, 43 Stableford points.
And like Daylight second.
Oh, mate, Daylight second.
And then third. Daylight again third.
Yeah. 43 points, 10 points to his yearly championship tally is Big K, Kerrod from Dubbo. So well done, K. He is playing some red hot golf right now. I've got to say.
He's because he won the Missing Links Masters back in April.
He did.
Then he had another big win, I believe. Was it the Club Championships that he had another big win?
He did pretty well in the club champs. Can't remember if he won or finished in the top couple. He may have done.
Yeah. And then another 43
I think he may
points.
have won C grade actually.
Yeah, I think he won C grade.
Yeah, he may have done because Pilgrims, and this is a good story. Big K, great guy. He has been down around about an 11, 12 handicap over time. Has had some injuries and been out of the game for around about 12 months actually.
Yeah, had a bit of a break.
A pretty significant back injury, which caused some problems. So the handicap blew out as a result of that. But Kerrod, he's back to his best and he's playing some cracking golf. And as a result, with the handicap blowout and getting back to his best golf, he's just lighting it up on the leaderboard at the moment. So it's good to see.
Handicap no longer blown out.
It has been dropping like a stone, which is good.
Yeah.
But no, it's excellent. You'll go a long way to find a nicer bloke. So keep it up, Kay. We're very, very happy to see it. It's awesome. So there you go. That's the update for the month that was, nice. Which means if you're interested, it's tightened at the top just a little bit. So James from the UK still our leader on 29 points, with Big K chasing him down hard on 25 points. And then Benny on 17 in third. So
where's your good self?
Ted from Mollymook in fourth. He missed the month of May. That could prove costly. I think I'm sitting.
Yeah, I think he was travelling in May.
Yes, I think I'm sitting in seventh, 1 point behind Donny from Bathurst. So it's a bit of a grudge match going on
there. Excellent.
So there you go. Good work. Good work to everyone involved. Keep it up. And yeah, as I said, if you haven't got any cards in yet, then get them in. It's my advice. Yep. It's a lot of fun. It's good.
I will have cards in for June. Guarantee it.
Hope so. I do have a couple of rounds in June already in the can. Neither of them were too inspiring because they were my 2 rounds at the New South Wales Mid-Am.
Yes.
30 and 31 points respectively. So may not trouble the scorers on that one.
I'll need to get out there and have another one before the end of the month.
Potentially. So that brings us to the topic at hand with a nice 23-minute intro. Andy Walker, well played.
Excellent.
Which I guess is a bit of a response to, well, in some respects, a response to your solo episode about the US Open. But I think probably more importantly, not so much that, but more about like what can we as weekend amateur golfers take out of that tournament and other tournaments recently played? What can we learn? What can we take away? What can help us improve our games?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a couple of things, and certainly because I didn't talk about, I only talked about the guys on the leaderboard, but there was a little bit of conversation around Scotty Scheffler and what happened to Scotty, and you know what, he's had such a good year. That I think that sometimes you just have an off week.
It wasn't that off though.
No, it wasn't. But for him, it was.
Right? He never. I guess the difference was he never looked like winning.
No.
But he still.
And for him,
he still finished. He still finished top 10, didn't he?
Yeah. So I think that's one thing that I think all of us can take from that is that you're not going to be your best all the time.
No.
And that's just part and parcel of being a golfer. In saying that, I mean, I've got some strokes gained data up there. He's still strokes gained total 2.83 strokes gained for the week, of which 2.23 strokes gained was tee to green. One strokes gained of 1.49 approach play. So from a ball striking perspective, he still hit it pretty well in regards to the rest of the field. Strokes gained putting, he still was positive, so he was 0.59. The best was Matt Fitzpatrick at strokes gained of 2.74. So he was sort of, in when it comes to the field, he was sort of well down the field when it came to strokes gained putting. But yeah, certainly the consistency that he shows from a ball striking perspective is, it's just there week to week. And I think regardless on what tournament it is, he stripes it, always stripes it. And I think if he has a good week on the greens, he wins. If he has a bad week or average week on the greens, he might still contend, but he won't win.
The thing that I actually noticed throughout the week, and it's potentially been bubbling away a little bit behind the scenes. It's the first time that we've really seen some signs of frustration, like some outward signs, some cracks in the armory, if you like. And I find that interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know if that was driven by the conditions and the complexity of the golf course, or frustration with his own game, or what the story was. But that I haven't seen that with Scotty.
Yeah, yeah, and I did watch an interview somewhere. It was on one of the TV channels about Scotty Scheffler and his relationship with his caddy. And when his caddy, I forget what his caddy's name is, but when they first got together, Ted Scott. When they first got together, Ted Scott sat down with Scotty Scheffler and went, so, what's the go? And had a pretty big heart-to-heart about, you need to rein in your emotions if we're going to work together.
He was a hothead, yeah.
Yeah, because, I'm not going to deal with it, and, I don't want to deal with it, and I will, we'll end up, having an unsuccessful relationship if you go down that path. So I know that he's really worked hard on his emotions and on his attitude and on his reactions, but yeah, he did have a few little reactions during the week. And I mean, look, he wasn't the other one. I mean, Rory broke a team marker. I don't know if you saw.
I did, and we will get we will get to that.
We'll get to Rory, but again, there were many moments of frustration, of angry sort of swings after hitting a shot, and he wasn't on his own. Let's just say that when it came to showing frustration.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't on his own, but definitely it was out of character. It's not something that we're used to seeing. We're used to seeing a very, very composed, in control performance out of Scotty. Easy to do when you're playing well. Obviously, when you don't feel like you've got your best and things are, not always going your way. And I do think as well on that golf course, which we'll talk about the golf course in just a minute, I think sometimes there's moments where you feel like you hit good shots or reasonable shots and you just don't get the results that you feel that you deserve. And frustration builds out of that as well. So I am not surprised. But it was interesting because watching Scotty go around, as you say, it wasn't the best Scotty Scheffler performance that you're ever going to see, but he was still right up there. And his mediocre is well and truly better than a lot of people's best.
Yep. Yeah. I also get the feeling that the US Open is really the one that Scotty Scheffler wants next. He's got the Masters, he's got the PGA. And I don't know, coming from a US perspective, the US Open is the one that they want, and so it should be. I mean, it's their national Open championship, whereas sort of us, coming from Australia and Europe and other parts of the world, it's the Open Championship that we see as the highest championship that everyone wants to win. So you can see that Scotty wants that US Open, and I think that was also part of it as well. In that, I think Scotty's used to getting his way with golf. He's used to being able to tear apart the golf course and tear apart the competition, and sort of similar to what Jack Nicklaus said at the Memorial. in the, Scotty goes out there a lot of the time and he knows he's better than the guys that he's competing against. And yeah, I think that the golf course and the conditions and that he was just off his game a little bit, I think that got the better of him.
Do you think as well the fact that he was the shortest priced unbackable favourite since Tiger Woods in 2008 played into the expectations?
No, I don't think he would worry about that external noise. I think he's past that. I think if it was Rory, yes.
Interesting.
But for Scotty, no. I don't think he would have given that 2 seconds thought. It's sort of like saying, and I'm not sort of at this point comparing Scotty Scheffler and Tiger Woods, but Tiger Woods wouldn't have given anything like that 2 seconds thought. And I think Scotty's
probably would have put a couple of dollars on it, actually.
Yeah, I mean, Scotty's mindset is sort of closer to where Tiger Woods was than probably anyone else over the last. I mean, potentially you could put Brooks Koepka in that category too. When he was hot, winning the US Opens and US PGAs, but certainly Scotty Scheffler's his mental fortitude at the moment is second to none.
No, that's a fair point. Absolutely. But the golf course, Andy Walker, I wouldn't mind just talking about the golf course for a moment because I did listen to your solo musings last week.
Yes.
And you loved it. You thought it was fantastic. So let's just have a bit of a conversation about that because I had mixed feelings about it.
Yep.
In all honesty, and I think when I boil it down now, obviously it's a week or two beyond the tournament, so a bit of a chance to reflect on things. I don't disagree with your view that, particularly for a US Open, it's good to see par being relevant, and it's good to see scores maybe winning scores maybe being somewhere between par and about 5 or 6 under. To have a course of that level of difficulty to be driving golf of that standard. Yep. Certainly in the past we've seen US Opens where winning scores have been 5 over and the like.
Yeah.
I mean, I know.
Well, I talked about Angel Cabrera in 2007, I think that there were 2008 that when it was at Oakmont.
At Oakmont, yeah.
And it was 5 over 1. That was his winning score. So,
which was also the score for Jeff Ogilvy at Winged Foot when he won.
That was 6 over. He won with 6 over.
Yeah. So we've seen these scores, and that's
for sure.
And that's fine. And I don't remember. I could be wrong, but I don't remember too much bleating about that at that point. I mean, obviously, golf courses are difficult, and conditions play into it. However, there were a couple of things that kind of were going through my mind whilst watching the tournament and watching the golf course. I wasn't thrilled with Oakmont from a viewer's point of view. Looking at the golf course, I don't find it to be visually appealing. To watch tournament golf on that golf course. In the same way, say, as like the top of the tree probably is Augusta for a picturesque backdrop to have a golf tournament played on.
So did you find, say, Pinehurst a lot better visually last year than what Oakmont was this year?
I did.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. It is fair to say. You might remember, though, if you go back to that episode, I wasn't a mad fan of Pinehurst, but that wasn't in relation to the tournament. That was more just saying, looking at it, it wasn't necessarily the sort of place I wanted to go and play.
Because I think you said exactly the same thing, with Oakmont.
Yeah, I did. I don't want to go play Oakmont, to be perfectly honest. I think the phrase I would use to describe Oakmont as a golf course is a blunt instrument. It was what I walked away from that feeling. And one of the things, as I was sitting there watching every minute of the telecast across the 4 days, is that from my point of view, there weren't really any signature holes on Oakmont. Like a lot of it looked the same. Obviously as the tournament wore on, you'd start to recognise certain holes, and of course 17 being a semi-drivable.
Yeah, so 17,
par
definitely.
4, which is the second last hole, that kind of stands out a little bit.
Yeah, and there was the eighth. It was
eighth. That was
like 300,
700 metre par 3.
Who was it that said that they love playing a reachable par 3?
Yeah, there were a few good quotes flying around about it, but to me, it had 3 specific weapons that it was throwing at the golfers, which is why I refer to it as a blunt instrument. One of them was distance on a number of the holes, and that par 3 being an example of that. The par 3s were pretty nasty. The other was obviously the length and gnarliness of the rough. And the third one was the speed of the greens, which unfortunately actually didn't get as fast as they could have got if conditions were drier, and it would have got very ugly. And to be honest with you, I think it was a little bit overdone with the length of the rough and greens the way that they are, being particularly fast and very slopey, and obviously very large, so you can have more putts anyway. One of the other things that I found pretty frustrating watching it was there were certain elements that I think were verging into the realms of unfair, and they were things like having the really long rough on the slopes down into bunkers, preventing balls getting into bunkers to give people a fair shot and an up and down, playing off a sort of 60-degree incline out of 5.5 inches of rough.
So do you feel as though golf should be fair and you should get a fair shot?
I think I think, and I know the question that you're asking, the word fair is obviously not one that's in golf lexicon, but I think there's certain things in design of golf courses where good shots should be rewarded, bad shots should be penalised. You could make an argument for marginal shots, whether or not you get away with them or you don't get away with them. Maybe sometimes you should and sometimes you shouldn't. I thought at times there were bits of the golf course that were overly penal. I don't think it rewarded good shots enough. And I think there were plenty of good shots that got played that still ended up in crap situations. And for mine, that was just not great. I didn't love that. I think that there were certain positions on certain holes. I can't remember the exact hole, but it was one of the par 4s where you had quite a narrow sort of area to land your drive on, which I think most people were hitting a fairway would. And if you missed the fairway to the right-hand side, it might have been 14 or something like that. If you hit the fairway on the right-hand side, it would all feed down of quite a big slope and end up in the rough anyway. It's like that's a drive that's hitting the fairway. That does not deserve to be in the rough. That, to me, was a step too far. And there were a few moments like that on a few holes where balls all fed into the one area and you just ended up in this 3-metre area of massive divot, and that was all there was. So I just, blunt instrument, I think, is how I would rate that course.
Yeah. How do you feel about being able to putt from 122 yards?
Yeah. I mean, look, that sometimes happens at the Open Championship over in the UK. So, which is kind of...
That's what they wanted.
I don't mind that.
I mean, the course designer, that was the framework that he had. It was to create an inland links golf course.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't love it. And it's not because of the scores. It's just, I thought it was just kind of trying to hit the players with a club, like with a big caveman's club. Like it was, as I say, blunt instrument is my description of that course. It was not visually appealing. There was nothing about it that makes me go, wow, that's an amazing place. It was just nasty. And I didn't go away from that going, I want to see another tournament at Oakmont. I actually went away from that going, if I don't see another tournament at Oakmont, I'm okay with that.
Well, there is going to be another US Open at Oakmont.
Maybe I won't watch it. I don't
know. It's in the schedule.
Yeah.
Sort of like like Pinehurst. It's and Pebble Beach. It's one of the courses that they've got on there.
I love watching a tournament at Pebble. It's spectacular. obviously it's on the
But
coast.
but
It's
at, but at
picturesque.
Pebble, like 15 under wins. I think that's what was it. Gary Woodland had about 15 under
Probably.
when he
Probably.
won it, and to me that's too high for a US Open. A US Open, and look, I said it last week.
If Pebble blows though,
I've
like
said
if the wind blows, then it's not going to be 15 under.
Yeah. I mean, I think a US Open somewhere between 5 to 10 unders are good, and for most majors, I think that's a good winning score. But it's also incredibly difficult to set up a golf course, with a score in mind, because you've got the natural elements which they had at Oakmont. There was like 8 inches of rain or something ridiculous in the month prior to Oakmont, which is why the greens weren't as savage as what they usually are, and potentially that's why the rough was probably thicker than normal, because they had the ability to really thicken it up with the rain and with the moisture. So yeah, look, I like different conditions in whether it be the US Open, the PGA Championship, the Open Championship. I think that it's good that there are different venues that these championships are played at, to be able to test the skills of different golfers, and or to test the best of the best. And yeah, I quite enjoy. And I'm not saying that Oakmont was the best US Open golf course that I've seen. It's, I actually quite liked Pinehurst last year, and I would, if I had a choice, I would go to Pinehurst before I went to Oakmont. However,
100%.
in saying that, if someone offered me a game at Oakmont, I would take it, without any question. I'd be more than happy to go to any US Open or any major championship venue. Just to see what it's like, and just to test myself against, that, not that it would be set up like a major championship, but just to, test myself against that style and level of golf course.
Oh, look, absolutely. And I would play it because it'd be interesting. I don't think I'd enjoy it. And you'd want to have a few spotters standing out there with you as well if they're going to have the rough that long.
Yeah, because apparently, like it's similar to that. Especially the greens are similar to that when the members play it.
Allegedly, the greens are even faster a lot of the time. Which, wow, good luck with that. To be honest. So yeah, I didn't love it. I think that was the thing. I didn't think. I mean, I guess look, one of the other things as well is that undulations of ground and sort of the topography of golf course, it does not translate well on the TV when you're looking at, because the TV tends to flatten things out. And it was only really when you were seeing those ground level shots looking across the greens that you really got an appreciation for the undulations on the greens. Yep. So possibly it is far more interesting in person, in the flesh, than it is on the TV to look at. Yep. But I thought the golf course looked ugly on the TV. The weather didn't help. The grey skies and some of those sorts of things, but it just, one of the things I love about golf is the manicured grounds and the parkland environment and the trees. They took all the trees out. That really hurt my soul when I heard that story. Again, it was one of those things like, why would you do that? I don't know that it was, kind of bringing it back to the original design philosophy and those elements, but come on, guys, taking out hundreds of trees off a golf course in this day and
apparently
age.
There are a lot of and of the greats. I believe Jack Nicklaus is one of them who made a comment to the guys at Oakmont that they didn't like what they were doing with the trees.
Sure, I like trees personally. They're good for the planet. More of them would be great rather than less of them. That's a separate philosophical debate. Okay, that's not about golf course design. But yeah, I don't know. I thought the joint's pretty ugly, really. And I know there will be a lot of people screaming at me for saying that, but that was what I thought.
Yep. What one person that I would, or one golfer I would like to point out, we've talked about sort of this before, is Xander Schauffele, and the fact that he's struggling, I think, to find his best golf again. I know he was injured towards the end of last year, and I think it just shows how difficult it is if you have a little bit of time away from the game, like Xander did, and he had a few months away with a rib cartilage injury. But this year he just hasn't seemed, after such a great year, winning two major championships last year, and he was all over just about everything he played in last year, and he just hasn't quite got it back, and I think it's really interesting and sort of a bit of a lesson given, for myself, that I've had a couple of injuries, and the frustrations around not being able to play, and certainly not being able to get back to playing my best golf. But I look at someone like Xander Schauffele, and the fact that, even though he's back playing golf full time, and he seems to have been, seemed to have recovered from his injuries, but he's still finding it difficult to get back to his best. I think that's an interesting, perspective to have.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that makes me think about is the fact that there is really not a very big distance between good golf and almost good golf.
Yeah.
We've talked about this on a number of occasions. When you're playing great, you're not that far away from playing ordinary. And when you're playing ordinary, you're actually not that far away from playing great. So there's something in that. But the other thing I think that's relevant with Xander is there's something that's important. There's an ingredient that's really important to play your best golf, right? And that is trust. Trust in yourself, trust in your swing, trust in your body.
Very much so.
I think there's doubt off the back of the injury, and it's not necessarily because the injury is still there, but it's the psychological scarring from being injured that takes a little while to get over. And it wouldn't surprise me if there's just a bit of doubt in Xander that he hasn't gotten past yet to enable him to play his best. And it's probably not that far away.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that, because and I was in a similar position last year when I had my rib cartilage injury, in that it probably took me a little bit longer than what I thought it was going to, because I was really concerned, and as you know, I re-injured it because I came back too soon. And then I took a little bit more time and was really conservative with it. But even when I did come back for the first probably half a dozen rounds, anytime I felt something, I was like, "Oh, is that the injury coming back?" I was really worried that I was going to re-injure it. So you're right. I think Xander would definitely have that in the back of his mind. I'd be pretty, and especially at the swing speeds that they swing at, and how hard they go at the ball. I mean, it would be very easy for him to re-injure that rib cartilage if he doesn't prepare right, if he doesn't warm up and warm down, and I'm sure he does strengthening exercises and stretching exercises and mobility. If he doesn't get that right, then it would be very easily for him to re-injure himself.
It might not even be at a conscious level, right? Like it's that sort of thing that sits subconsciously, that innate sort of little bit of doubt in being able to release yourself to do all the movements in the way that you need to can just be such a small margin. That's the difference between, playing at the heights that he was playing versus where he is at the moment. I don't know. I mean, we could be wrong. We're just theorising at the moment, but I feel like it's pretty logical, kind of joining of the dots to think that could be at play. I've got no doubt that Xander will get back to the top of his game. I mean, he's an incredible golfer.
Yep. And I hope so, because I like the way Xander plays. I think he's a great ambassador for the game. He just seems like an all round good bloke. So I'd love to see him get back to the top again.
Agree. Rory.
We need to have the conversation about Rory.
Something about Rory.
Yeah,
there is something about Rory at the moment.
So what are your thoughts? I know I had a bit of a say last week. Have you thought about the big question that I posed last week?
Yeah, I have. It's a good question. I enjoyed that. I really did. Some of your best. But no, Rory, I think it's not the golf, actually. I mean, the golf is a byproduct, I think, of everything else that's going on. But what I've been, probably more concerned about is what we're hearing and seeing from him in terms of what he's saying and the behaviours that he's exhibiting.
Yep.
Interesting that you kind of were talking about Paul McGinley and his take on things in terms of the attitude around, I don't owe it to anybody to talk to the media. I liked that conversation and I agreed with that. But I'll probably go back a step a little bit, which is we are seeing really unusual behaviours out of Rory at the moment, and he seems angry or bitter or cranky or frustrated or a lot of these sorts of emotions that are coming out, and it's almost like he's given himself permission to release them a little bit post the Masters. That potentially he was bottling up a bit because he was fixated on goal achievement. Now the goal's been achieved, he's not looking at goal achievement, and he's sort of sitting there and going, what's next? What do I want? Who am I?
Yep.
How do I want to deal with this? I agree with the comments about the fact that the guy needs a break and he probably needs to get away from golf for a little while. Now, obviously, he's not going to do that before the Open, but potentially after Portrush, take some time, go and figure yourself out.
Yeah.
There are some sort of, I don't necessarily want to call them conditions, but they're from a mental health spectrum perspective, there are certain things that people talk about in this space. And I don't want to put a label on Rory because I'm not qualified to do it. So that's not what I'm trying to do. But there are some things to do with, for high performers, when you achieve a goal that you have held for a long time, chasing that goal has been so absorbing for such a long time, in terms of years of training and striving and competing.
Yep.
That the achievement of that goal is actually a letdown. And it is not fulfilling in the way that you either consciously or subconsciously had hoped that it would be. Now, what defined you as a person was the chase and the attempt to achieve whatever it is. And, in this case, it's the Grand Slam, but for others it might be, a career-defining award or whatever other achievement might. It could be a gold medal. Is actually probably in Olympic athletes you see this quite a lot, and the post achievement of a gold medal. This is an interesting statistic for you. The likelihood of suicide increases after winning a gold medal.
Okay.
Which is bizarre. But the thing is that the self-perception is tied in the chase towards the goal, not in the achievement of the goal. And then when the goal has been achieved, resetting that and reevaluating internally the self-perception can be very challenging for some people and can actually lead into areas of depression and mental health challenges. Not to suggest that Rory's, clinically at that stage, but I feel like he's exhibiting all of the signs of someone that's battling with this. He's not the first to go through it. It certainly won't be the last. Very special athletes, the ones like, say Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, Michael Phelps, Ian Thorpe, like some of these others that just continue to be able to perform at that level and dominate. Obviously, their wiring is not so much just in the achievement of that goal, but it is the continued performance at that level. And that's something that Rory probably needs to find. Does he want to continue and reframe himself in that vein, or does he want to give the game away and go and do something else? Because at the moment, the way that he's going is not healthy, and I think he needs a reset.
Yeah. And look, you hear a lot of, that sort of commentary around, the post-sporting career.
Yeah.
And certainly, I follow the NRL, the National Rugby League, here in Australia, and you hear a lot of it in those circles where footy players really struggle after their careers are finished, because that's how they've defined themselves since they were juniors.
Yeah.
That they were footy players, and they get paid ridiculous amounts of money. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they're high performing athletes, and they deserve it. But they get paid a lot of money for a reasonably short period of time. They maybe 10 years, maybe not even. Some are lucky enough to be in the game longer than that. But yeah, then they reach the end of their career, and what's next? When their playing days are over, and a lot of them go and play in regional towns and regional competitions, which keeps those competitive juices flowing, which I think is really healthy. There are some, and I certainly know if you sort of switch that over to rugby union, there's a lot of union players that have very high achieving corporate careers, but there's also a reasonable percentage that just go, well, what do I do now? Who am I? So yeah, but having that mid career, and I guess you could sort of say winning a grand final would be a similar achievement to what say Rory has been through, and you don't hear so much about it while they're still in the throes of their career and still competing. But it certainly makes a lot of sense. And as I said last week, I think Rory's really struggling to process what it means to be a career Grand Slam champion, to have achieved that, to have achieved that, career defining moment that he's always, that he's dreamed of since he was, a junior. And he did say, I think it was at the PGA Championship, that, he's now achieved everything that he wanted to in golf. So what does that then mean for him in the game? And I think he really needs to work that out. And I think I agree with you that I think he's really struggling with that at the moment. I don't think he's figured out what it means to be Rory McIlroy, career Grand Slam champion.
I 100% agree with that. And I think the reality of having achieved it hasn't lived up to the expectation of, not that he necessarily would have had that, I think when I get this, then this, and this, and this is going to happen. But because, and partly because the chase had gone on for so long, and that had been drawn out. Like if he'd achieved this and, say continued his run back in 2012, 2013 of, winning majors as a new guy on the circuit and knocked it all over at that point, I don't think this would be an issue. Like Rory would just then be going on and chasing in the same way that Tiger was chasing, trying to get as many as he could. But because this was going on for so long and winning the Masters had taken so long, and he'd watched so many other people win the Masters before he got around to doing it, that pursuit had become all consuming and was essentially his self-perception. And then achieving that, the letdown of that in some respects, that's the challenge. And so processing it, framing it, resetting your goals, it's actually probably deeper than that. It's that understanding of who you are. And I'll draw a parallel on this. So bear with me because it's a little bit random, but For most people, your self-perception, and we're getting deep on this one, but that's okay because the whole gist of this is what can we learn from the pros. But for most people, like your self-perception is actually drawn in many respects to what you do for a living. Your family status, those sorts of things is important. But for a lot of people, it's what you do for a living that formulates who you are and who you and what you think of yourself and sort of where you sit in society. And that self-perception is a really powerful and important thing. And you take that away from someone and they struggle with it. Now, going back about close to 10 years now, when I left a previous role and had the opportunity to leave under a voluntary redundancy, which, as a separate aside, one of the best things that you can ever do if you get the opportunity. But
I don't think my boss is going to give me a
I don't think so.
Voluntary redundancy.
But the point that I make is that I did that and therefore didn't have another job to go to. And I spent about 3 months actually unemployed for the first time in my adult life. And it was really interesting because, I would go to a social event, go to watch a game of footy with a bunch of people that I didn't know that well, and you get introduced to new people. And the first question you always get asked,
"Oh, what do you do?
What do you do?" And you go, "Oh, to be honest, at the moment, nothing. I'm between jobs. Took a redundancy, and then it's like, oh,
yep.
And
you didn't say I'm retired,
but how you describe yourself, and this is worth trying if you've never had to do this. How do you describe yourself if you were going to introduce yourself to someone and they go, "Oh, so who are you?" Let's just not go, "What do you do?" How do you describe yourself without talking about your job? It's so hard. And getting to know who you actually are outside of your job title and what you do to earn money, that is really, really important. And it's actually really healthy if you can do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Rory's at. Who is Rory if not the guy that's chasing the Grand Slam? He's the guy that's achieved it now. And then what?
Yep.
I think he's battling in that space. So,
yeah.
So what can we learn from the pros on that one? Actually genuinely understanding who you are and what you're all about. That's pretty damn powerful.
Yeah. I also think that there's a lesson in there that what you do shouldn't define everything about you as well. I understand that there's a part of you that's tied to what you do, but it shouldn't be everything.
I totally agree. But for most people, it is.
Yeah, I understand that. It is totally, and that's where I try and have varying aspects of my life. I mean, obviously we've got the podcast where all the pilgrims know both of us in relation to the podcast, but I've also got my business that I've had for quite a lot of years now, and the family and friends, and I try and have different aspects of my life so I'm one part of my life doesn't define who I am, and I find that variety to be quite healthy.
It's amazing, and that's awesome that you've got that. And for me, that was something that I also worked on after this experience. I hadn't really thought about it before. Like most people don't really think about it, but it was only having been thrust into that situation. And I went, yeah, okay, that's interesting. Who am I and what am I all about, and how do I describe myself outside of this is my job title and this is what I do career-wise? Because I'm more than that. My kids don't care about that job. They care about the person that presents at home and the impact that you have in their world. And I think as people, we are many different things in many different settings. And from the pilgrims listening to this, we're two golf podcasters. Like that's not who we are in the rest of our life.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a number of different roles that I fill, and this is just one of them. And I don't know, you're in the same boat.
It's an awesome one. I love it.
Yeah.
But it is an interesting one, and I think if you've never really kind of sat down and thought about who am I outside of my job title, do it. It's an interesting one to figure out.
Yeah,
because that can get taken away from you at a moment's notice anyway.
Yeah,
and then what?
The other interesting thing that I've noticed with Rory, and it was in his interview. He had about sort of 5 minutes or so in the US Open with the reporters, and he's had a lot of flack from certain sections of the media throughout his career for not actually or taking so long to win his next major, but he even though he's achieved everything that he set out to, and even though he's a career Grand Slam champion, he's still getting a little bit of flack from the media. And I think there's a certain element of his psyche as well that's going, guys, just lay off. Like, I've actually done this now. I've achieved everything that I want to. So just lay off, just back it up. And I know that sort of came out, and I think part of the frustration, and I mentioned it last week, was with the driver episode at the PGA Championship. And I think that may also be part of it as well, is that, trying to figure out what his mindset needs to be with the media now that and he probably feels as though he deserves, a bit more positivity from, all of the media. But at the moment, and I don't think he ever will, but there are always going to be certain sections of the media that are going to want to see him fail. There's a certain amount of the population that's going to want to see him fail. And I think he's probably struggling that's always going to be there as well.
Good thing for him he didn't grow up in Australia in that case, because tall poppy syndrome is a very real thing here.
Exactly. Exactly.
Look, yeah, I mean, I think you're right on all of those points. I also think that if you want the media to cut you some slack, then probably a good tip would be somewhat less antagonistic towards them when you get the opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think Rory's he's just cranky and grumpy and making a few bad decisions at the moment. And I mean, the other thing as well is I don't know what he's got around him, sort of team-wise, to be providing advice and assistance and, sort of pointing him in the right direction as well, because you made the point earlier or drew the comparison earlier around sporting teams after winning premierships or world championships, if you prefer. And the difference there is that you've got a really strong support network around you. In that environment, you've got teammates, you've got coaches, you've got support crews, you've got all those sorts of people. I don't know how much truth to power goes on in Rory's network.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep.
I could theorise. It feels like not much.
Yeah, there was a conversation that Brooks Koepka had with the media around his coach, and that really honest conversation about where he was at, and the coach apparently got stuck into him a couple of times
for 40 minutes or so in a bunker.
Apparently it was pretty full on. And Brooks said that while he wasn't happy with it at the time, having taken some time and done some reflection, he's actually really happy that happened, because, and I think his words were something along the lines of, I've got people around me that remind me when I'm not being Brooks Koepka. And I think that's a really good thing to have as well, is that brutal honesty at times where you've got people around you who aren't scared to go, hey, you're not acting in the way that, you know, is true to yourself and true to your values and true to who you want to be. So sort yourself out, pal. And I think, I know we discussed this in after his antics in the US Open last year, when he just bailed out of the clubhouse and left without even sort of, you know, shaking Bryson DeChambeau's hand. I'm not sure Rory has that person in his life to be able to, you know, have that brutally honest conversation with him.
And that was kind of the point of my remarks before. I agree. I don't think it's there. I don't feel like, I don't feel like there's someone that's holding him to account. And it's interesting that you raise that early departure out of the scoring tent at last year's US Open, because I wonder in some ways if that was sort of one of the first indicators of Rory giving himself permission to behave like that.
Yep.
Which is now becoming more regular, and that sort of slight reduction in personal standards that snowballs.
And you're right. I mean, there's his antics on the course. I mean, there was we talked about the busted tee marker. There was a helicopter that with one of his clubs at one point as well. And, you know, that's just certainly at that level, at the professional level, that's really poor behavior.
No, it's worse than that. I'm happy to call that is completely and utterly unacceptable. And I like the throwing the club issue, like personal view, unacceptable. If you're a club thrower listening to the show, stop it. Stop it now. It is not acceptable. It is disrespectful to the people around you, and it's downright dangerous. There is no place in the game for it. That's a personal view. All right. I've nearly been hit by a golf club on a golf course being tomahawked, and if it hit me, it would have killed me. And it's a game of golf, for God's sake. It's not that important. So stop throwing clubs. Anyway, there's public service announcement number 2 for the podcast. But
excellent.
The tee box marker, mate, seriously, that was not even within reach. You know, he's hit a bad shot and he has made the decision. He has allowed himself to make the decision, which is where I kind of was driving at with what happened at the US Open is the first step in giving himself permission to behave poorly. He's made the decision to destroy property.
Yep.
You know, there was an incident, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago. It was Adam Hadwin, I think it was, that smacked the sprinkler head and then the sprinkler came on. Which was pretty funny. His argument was that he didn't realise that the sprinkler head was there and he was smacking the ground. I don't know. Jury's out on that. I think that's a bit of a stretch, but that was pretty ordinary. But this was worse. Like, he's reached to smash that tee box marker. Now, he knows when he's doing that. It's a split-second reaction, sure.
Yep.
But you know you're going to break it. Like, the reason that he was doing it was to break it, was to destruct property. That needs to be instant DQ out of the tournament. Get off the course. See you later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there is no place in the game for that.
I just wonder, you know, you go back to the greats, you know, of yesteryear and the great gentlemen of the game, you know, the Bobby Jones and the Byron Nelsons and these guys, what they would think of Rory's antics in recent times.
I can tell you, they would be disgusted. There's no place for it. Yeah. And that's a bit of a Rory assassination that certainly I've led on that one, and I'll own that. But I do, like, I genuinely think he has let himself down.
But it's also, if you listen to, say, what Jack Nicklaus had to say prior to the memorial, where Rory was invited and
Totally.
was going to play, and pulled out and didn't actually phone Jack
Yeah.
to say, hey, look, I'm really sorry, but I've got X, Y, Z going on, and I can't make it during the week.
It's just extraordinary.
He just pulled out.
Genuinely extraordinary.
And I know that in the press conference, Jack said that he wasn't having a go at Rory and all the rest, but it's sort of having a go at Rory without having a go at Rory, right? And I think that sort of stuff is disrespectful to, well, not one of the greats, the greatest, in my opinion, in my book of the game of golf.
No, I totally agree with that. And I think the massive shame about the whole thing is that a month or so on from completing the career Grand Slam, we've just had a 15 or 20-minute conversation about everything about Rory that was nothing to do with winning the career Grand Slam.
Yep.
Okay. And that's because of the way that he's chosen to behave off the back of it.
Yep.
That's the thing that's disappointing. And that I think hopefully he pulls himself out of this funk, gets the right advice around him, gets the help that he needs to get himself out of it. Because I do think that there is a bit of a mental ill health happening at the moment for him.
Yep.
And I think once he's able to do that and get a little bit of distance on it and look back on it, I feel like he might be a little bit disappointed with the way that he's chosen to behave.
Yeah, look, I don't disagree with that, and I do hope that he does. I mean, I think both of us experienced so much joy in watching Rory win the Masters, and Rory in good form. And with a good mindset is great for our game. He brings ice to the game. He brings competitive to the game, and he's a phenomenal golfer. And I would love to see Rory back at his best, competing for majors, and being, now that he's a career Grand Slam winner, being a statesman for the game. And holding those high standards that all the greats through history have held themselves to. And I think that you're right. I'm not convinced that he will look back at this period of time and say that this was his best work. But I really hope that for his sake, for the game of golf, I really hope he gets back to where he was.
There you go. That's the Rory conversation that we needed to have.
Yeah, it is.
Good.
It is.
Mindful of time, we are well and truly over the allotment, but one point just in terms of lessons that we can learn that I did want to raise was, and you talked about it last week a little bit quite nicely, I thought, was the Sam Burns casual water decision. So, look, is what it is. The call went against him, but two on-field officials. The shot that he played obviously was impacted by the water on the ground. I mean, my personal view is that that was a casual water relief every day of the week. But,
I agree with that.
That is what it is. And I think the USGA on that day were basically just going to play that tournament with the ball on the ground like that was just the way it was going to be. But the reason I raise it was not the shot or the decision, but it was the fact that absolutely ruined Sam Burns mentally for the rest of that round. He at that point allowed himself to be the victim and then unravelled from there. Whilst continuing to grump about the decision. But the fact is, if he was actually playing well and burning it up and out in front and, feeling good and feeling confident, that decision would not have been a blip on the radar. He would have gone on to win. But things were starting to unravel, and that was the straw that broke camel's back. And unfortunately, he allowed it to get to him and then made a series of bad decisions and played a series of bad shots afterwards, which, obviously saw him drop down the leaderboard. So, it was an interesting one. I think it was less about the decision. It was more about the reaction to the decision that was the critical part in the whole result.
Yep.
And the reason I raise it is that's a super good one for a lesson that we can all learn about reacting to moments of adversity on the golf course.
Yep.
Might not be rules decisions. They might be just a bad bounce or a bad break or a bad lie or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, but I thought that was interesting. Intriguing,
Yes.
perhaps.
Yes.
Enlightening.
Very intriguing.
So there you go. That's a lot.
It is. It is. Not a lot about golf and a lot about mindset and attitude, which I think is a really important discussion to have.
Yes, attitude and mindset. Andy Walker, I feel like that might be a topic that we might want to tackle in the next episode of the Missing Links Golf Show.
Yes. There's always challenges.
Well, with that in mind, there's so much there. I want to go back and listen to that rant. I think that will be quite interesting. But we'll be looking to record a couple of episodes fairly quickly together over the next week or so. And apologies for the delays, Pilgrims, but life gets in the way every now and then.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I think it would be remiss of us not to mention is Minjee Lee's massive win.
Absolutely.
This morning, and I've got so much admiration for the Lee family. I think Minwoo Lee and Minjee Lee are such great ambassadors for the game. It makes me proud to be Australians. It was great to see her win. Now, third Grand Slam. Very, very interesting discussion around where she now sits in the pecking order of great Australian golfers. And we've had some great Australian golfers over the years. But I think she's got to be up there. She's got to be top five. There's only 4 golfers now that have won 3 or more majors. I mean, Karu Webb, who I think is undoubtedly Australia's greatest golfer, male or female, with 7 career Grand Slam wins. Peter Thompson won 5 British Opens. Minjee Lee and Jan Stevenson now are on 3
apiece.
Yeah, so I think that and depending on your perspective as to how much emphasis you put specifically on majors and winning majors. I mean, I think you can't have a conversation around great Australian golfers without having a conversation around Greg Norman. Greg Norman, as we know, only won 2 major championships, probably should have won 5 or 6 at least. But
also instrumental in setting up the Live Golf Tour. So that's good.
Yeah, not sure that would go down as a career golfing highlight. Maybe a career highlight for him, but maybe not a career golfing highlight. But I mean, GN won. I think it was like 88 professional tournaments worldwide. So I mean, that's a lot of wins that he had. Whereas say Kari Webb only had less than half of that. She had 41. She had 56. So 41 LPGA Tour wins and 56 professional wins. So she had a lot less wins, but 7 majors, I think. Yeah, had it when it counted. And I think that's sort of similar to now. It's now Minjee in that she's only won 14 times as a professional, but 3 of those have been majors.
Big game player. I think the other thing, though, on Greg Norman's list is you've got to put in the extended period at world number 1.
And that's the other thing as well on
probably
which I think sort of which is why I think he sort of has to be in the top 5. So that would and in no particular order that would definitely be my top 5. Kari Webb, Peter Thompson, Minjee, Jan Stevenson, and Greg Norman. yeah, it'd be an interesting discussion around what order you would put them in.
It would have been a different conversation had Adam Scott got up to take the chocolates at Oakmont as well. But unfortunately for him, that didn't happen.
And Adam Scott has discussed numerous times that he feels as though he should be a multiple major champion. I hope he does get it done, but yeah, I mean, look, he's a fine specimen of a human being,
isn't he? Though,
yeah, he is, and he's as good now as what he's been, probably at any point in his career. So he's still got time left, but yeah, he's certainly at the back end of his career, and I think that I think Jason Day is in a fairly similar position as well, in that I think both Adam Scott and Jason Day, given their talent and their golf games, I think both will probably look back and feel as though they've underperformed if they've only, at the end of their career, they've only got one Grand Slam.
I mean, look, golf is a fickle mistress, isn't it? Like, to win a tournament, it's not like any other sport where you just beat the other player. You've got to beat 150 other players. Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah, it is, and that's I guess part of the difficulty of golf is that yes, you can go out and play your best and rip a golf course up, but if the guy you're playing with has one shot better, then that's what you've got to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, it's even other individual sports like tennis, which has got similar format that you're playing tournaments, but you're playing one person at a time. It would be like taking a golf tournament and turning it into match play. You'd start with 160, the next day down to 80, then you're down to 40. You don't have to beat everyone individually in the field to win, but in golf you do. So, it's tough. So I think, obviously the yardstick is winning tournaments and in particular majors, but I think for both Jason Day and Adam Scott, if they finish at one major apiece, it's still an amazing effort. They have had outstanding careers that have gone on for a long time and played at the highest level for many, many years. And obviously that's something that a lot of people would love to do. Scotty's record of consecutive majors is extraordinary.
Yeah, I believe with his I think I read somewhere with his US Open finish, he now has pre-qualified
to get past the ton.
That's
ridiculous,
and that's unbelievable. That is ridiculous. That's definitely a career highlight.
Yeah,
I think that's there's got to be weight put to that when you're talking about the greatest Australian golfers of all time, and the other one that would be remiss not to mention is David Graham, who's our other multiple major champion. I mean, he won 38. He had 38 professional wins, 8 on the PGA Tour and the US Open and the US PGA.
Yeah, he's in the conversation, no doubt.
Yeah, I think he's with Minjee winning her third. I think I would have had probably him in the top 5 ahead of Minjee before her win, but yeah, I think with three majors and she's only 29 and as well, like she's still got time to win another couple, which would then change the conversation again as to where she sits on that all-time list. So,
well, if she completes the Grand Slam, it's a different conversation altogether.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Well, very good. That's a nice positive to end on. Well done.
Yeah. So well done, Minjee.
Missing Links Golf Show Player of the Week.
Yes, there's a guest spot there for you anytime you want to join us.
Sorry, what was that, Minjee? Next week? Excellent. Yeah,
that'd be a scoop, wouldn't it?
That'd be a highlight. That'd be amazing. We'll reach out and see how we go. You never know.
Yeah, we'll get our people, talk to her people, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we're more likely to get her than Rory on the show, let's be honest.
Well, after your rant.
I don't feel like he's going to be coming on as a guest anytime soon. We love you, Rory. We really do. We say it out of love because we want you to be the best version of yourself that you can possibly be.
And that's it. That is 100% I don't think either of us are going to pull any punches. It's we're honest and brutally honest at here on the Missing Links Golf Show, and yeah, but I would love to see Rory get back to his best. I think that would be great for the game.
Agreed. Well, there you go. 1 hour and 30 minutes later.
Excellent.
Well played, Andy Walker. That's what happens when there's two of us. So
there's an extra hour thrown in, just as a bonus.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it. We're done. It's all over for another week. Andy Walker, what should the Pilgrims do in the interim?
Rock out, Pilgrims.
Thanks for listening to us today. We love hearing from our Pilgrims, so please reach out to us through any of the links in the show notes. We know golf is hard, so we hope we can help you shoot better scores and inspire you to keep trying. Rock on, Pilgrims.